What's up, y'all, man? Hey, it's your boy Sid. Hey, and my main man Ron Serving back with y'all this week for the Man Cave. Man, what is up? We appreciate y'all joining us. As usual, man, we love y'all. Hey, I just gotta holler at my man Ron. What's up over there on the West Coast, man?
Well, we're less smoky. We have the fire still burning. I think we're about 92% contained. So you don't realize when you're in the close proximity to fires how much it impacts your life. But we're doing good. Just kind of still staying safe. Just kind of trusting our own kind of thought process and moving through these interesting times that we're all dealing with. So yeah, ready to rock and roll. We've been away for a few weeks, but missing this space that we've created here, and looking forward to engaging in this conversation.
Yeah, man. So y'all, Ron, a couple of weeks ago, Ron brought a docu series. I don't know what you call it. On Netflix, Social Dilemma, and it was all about social media and the effects it's having, and some of the long term effects it can have. And so I went and watched it. He watched it, and we like, yo, let's just chop it up. Um, because the reality is, like right now, and probably for a very long time, social media is going to be shaping our lives. Like we have to interact with it some kind of way, or at least hear about it. Or at least that's the case I see it. I have a toddler. He's gonna be growing up. You have a teenager. Like right now, we're streaming to a couple of different platforms. So I mean, it have impacts across all walks of life, and just want to chop it up. So how did that even get on your radar, man? That Netflix thing.
My wife had heard something about it, and then I think there was some like uncertainty of what it might be to have my son watch it because she had heard that there's just some very strong points that are brought up, at least people's version of what they feel some of the social media concerns might be. Um, so yeah, just it was something that she asked him to watch. I did not watch the whole entire thing. I saw most of it, but I definitely saw and experienced the gist of it. And I think um, it's kind of like everything else. I mean, I feel like it's a tool for us to learn from, to understand that there's good and bad in everything. Well, not in everything. There's good and bad in lots of things that we don't necessarily pay attention to. And it really gave me at least some insight to my own kind of navigating in the social realm, social media realm, on just understanding a little bit more about the algorithms and how information is processed and sent to those that are kind of posting, and to kind of really create just this momentum of what they're wanting to experience. Um, but with the underlying understanding that, and this is with lots of things we do, the almighty dollar, right? It's like making money, big money. And knowing that, and knowing that that's obviously driving a platform that provides a service where we can connect with people that we haven't connected with for many, many years. People that we can have great small circles, and have supports and interactions, in a different way that we never thought possible. So I think that's all great. I think that's a great tool for us to be able to, again, engage and share our lives with those that we feel are very important to share that with. But we can also get caught up in the ego-driven part of Facebook, Instagram, and I think this is something that there's a lot of challenges out there and struggles with, is just how it's impacting our children, especially, from a non-interaction standpoint, where they're looking for approval, they're looking for satisfaction, they're looking for something in their life from others that they oftentimes don't even really know a whole lot about, or even know them well, or have never met them. So I'm
Right.
just, so I'm curious, when you watched it, what were some of the things that because are active and not extremely active in social media, but you dip your finger in the water and you stir the water and you test different things. So is there things that you came out of the viewing of that was of interest to you?
Um, Honestly, I came out with a little bit more understanding, honestly, on how to use it, on how to use social media. Honestly, like all the SEO stuff. I was like, oh, it for whatever reason it kind of clicked on how to use it for good. But then it was like kind of scary in a sense, just looking at it on the surface level and just taking it for what it was. It's just like, yo, I can see it because I deal with this a lot. I interact with a lot of different people. And so on that one, it's like, yo, I could see some truth behind it, understanding, um, and just honestly, just more questions and curiosity and a need and want to help people navigate through that. Because I was like, yo, I'm glad we having this conversation because if I was to be honest, social media can really, really stir up that imposter syndrome in me. So and we saying how is it shaping our kids, and like how is it shaping us first? You know what I'm saying? Because they, unless they out grown and gone, but if they in the house, they kind of watching us too. They might not say it, but they can tell if mama or daddy head down all the time and not paying attention. So we teaching. Mom and daddy not reading a book. I'm not gonna read a book. So um,
Well, here's an
I
example.
definitely see some problems with it.
Yeah, here's something just I don't know if I've shared it with you, Cedric, but just I'll keep the people anonymous. There was a This was a few years back where a family member was experiencing with a good friend of hers was experiencing an online relationship um, with a gentleman that was in, I think he was in the Marine Corps or Army, or he was off I think in Iraq or something like that. So they maintained this not it was never, obviously they never met, so it wasn't a sexual relationship, but there was some, I guess, a little bit of intimacy to a certain extent, not deep intimacy, but just a deeper friendship that they kind of build a bond with this person. Um, just to fast forward, what ended up finding out, it was a girl imposing as this guy that actually went to their school.
The good old catfish, huh?
Yeah. So and that was a very, I think, strong-willed, good kid that was able to kind of see it for what it was and move through it. My concern is for those that are more fragile, that don't have a sense of direction, don't have maybe the parents or the social circle in person that really supports something like this happening, and how detrimental that could be to a child, and then and what could go to a deeper level. I mean, these obsessions and tracking people down, and just these things that we don't know, we can't assume, that don't evolve out of just a simple, you know, relationship in social media. I mean, we can't be closed-minded to that those things are happening. I mean, some of the people that
Right.
have been, kidnapped or something like that. I mean, it ends up being a social interaction, getting to know each other, friends on social media, maybe thinking that they're one thing, and then finding out differently and meeting in person, and tragedy has happened.
Yeah. And I was just, as you were talking about the tragedy part, man, I was just thinking about when Harvey hit. Like that really, man, had it not been for social media,
Yeah.
we would have made it to as many people as we did. Until we started using some, I can't even remember the name of the app, but at first it was just strictly Facebook. People posting, oh, call this phone number, go over here, go over there. So man, this is so many wonderful benefits, like the documentary pointed out. Man, but at the same time, dude, I think it's really, really big motivator to a lot of the issues we deal with, and a lot of the division really between people, because it's just a lack of communication. It's too readily accessible to not be present. Basically, I don't have to really it's a microwave presence. Oh, I could be present until I turn the screen off on my phone and then I'm good. And I really wasn't fully present and experienced life. And so now that leads to anxiety, depression, because all of my friends are quote unquote friends are through social media, and I can really truly speak myself because now if I'm hurt, all I got to do to get away from the pain is just shut my screen off versus, in eyes wide open in the reality having to deal with it. Um,
Well, and it's funny how, and I'm sure you've experienced this, when you post something uplifting, good thing happened, had a baby, graduated from high school, how quickly you'll see, a lot of people that you maybe haven't heard from in a long time that they support you, they like your posts, there's a lot of goodness that comes out of that. So people that you may not even recognize, you're like, wow, they like this. It's like I didn't even know I was still friends with that person. I don't even know why I became friends with that person in the first place. But then opposite that, there's those, you could go back to some of the back channels of discussions that people just are coming from such a place of hatred and fear and don't even know who you are, and they're just jumping in and grandstanding their own opinion on something that in person those things wouldn't happen, right? I mean, when we didn't have social media, we don't have that, obviously, that we could have that large amount of people that support us and pat us on the back and celebrate with us. But how rare was it back before we had social media to have something that's controversial happen to you, and then to be blown up into 5,000 likes that you fail, or something that's just extreme, that people just gravitate. They're almost like looking for that, not the feel good story. They're looking for that not not so feeling good story to empower them to be in their own misery. I feel, it's like that misery loves company. It's like those people that many people that I think are those haters, or are those that use social media as a tool to push out even more hatred. Um, that's I think that's the bigger picture. I think that is of concern. Is like not having that authentic interaction with somebody where you can have a better idea. Is this person really real? Is this person that's telling these things being authentic? I mean, we can all hide behind a post and not even engage after we've posted something, and just kind of see what happens.
yeah. And man, like if I was to be completely honest, like one, I won't say always, but I never really was a big social media person. Um, didn't really try to build or get too much business from the internet in general. Um, but it's a problem I see is when we're talking to people, sometimes I gotta question their authenticity, but not based on like how authentic they're really being in the moment. It's really how authentic are your thoughts, meaning how much information do you possess that you came up with? Because it's so easy, like for us to get caught up in that. Oh man, people like my post, so it must be good. People didn't like my post, it must be bad. Nobody liked my picture that I thought was good, so I must be ugly. And so if a piece of information comes out, oh, 1.6 million people viewed this, or 1.6 thousand people viewed this, that deems that source viable, right there, or viable, liable. At that point, which we're not necessarily stopping to say, okay, hey, well, this person posted this, where did they get the information? Whereas, pre social media, you could do something and fail miserably. And what happens with social media, you ramsack with all the other rumors and all the noise that comes in that may not even be true because nobody's fact checking. And back in the day, by the time it made it to a big grand scale, it was already filtered because it didn't get disseminated as quick. So they're like, no, because I talked to 10 other people and all 10, the storylines are a different way or the facts show this way. So let's research the, it was that type of deal. And so I guess that would be the big difference I see pre pre social to media till now. It's a whirlwind.
And I remember a while back, and I don't know if it was ever a fact check or if it's true or not, but I had heard that, and then I think it was like somebody from Facebook or formerly from Facebook or somebody that was influential in the social media network talked about, and I think it was like on 2020 or 60 Minutes, one of those shows. Not that that's always factual. I mean, I think it's more factual than just watching the news on the internet. But they talked about like Facebook holding back, say like 15 people liked your post. They'll hold back likes to like push them out all at once versus them like trickling in and not seeing the like immediate gratification that you're hoping for. And I've been, I can, like you are saying, to be completely honest, there's been times where, I posted something and kind of kept an eye on it to see if something that resonates with others. But I think what I've realized is probably from watching this documentary, becoming more and more aware of what I'm putting out into the world is, doing what I do without thinking about what I need to get back from it. In my relationships, in my my interactions with others, as far as just being somebody that serves others, obviously serves myself, gives myself the best opportunity to be whole and nourished and all those things, but giving in a way where I'm not looking for a thank you. I'm not looking for I really appreciate that. I mean, it's great to have those things, and I think we'd all be lying if we didn't say that feels good when it comes back to you.
Right.
But if I can be more aware as a man at this stage of my life, to just let go of that, I think social media to me won't be as I think I'm developing, I think, just a different way of looking at social media, not just from watching the Social Dilemma, but also just having my son who's 15. He has an Instagram account, but he's very rarely on Instagram. Doesn't have a Facebook account, and how many years I had without social media, and not, like I said earlier, not that it's not beneficial to have a way to reach out and connect, to people in the world that you may not ever connect with otherwise. But I think there's, I think it's really asking yourself the question, like we do with other things. It's like, what am I hoping to experience here? What am I really looking for? Who am I showing up when I'm doing, my posting? Am I being authentic to what I'm really wanting to share? Am I really being authentic to what I'm trying to experience, in return? And I think that's, so I'm kind of in that in between stage of being more involved in social media for, not like I was pretty much a daily poster. I mean, whether it's an inspirational quote or something, just to kind of push, goodness out in the world. Haven't posted a whole lot lately. I'm kind of what they call it, a creeper, where I'll look at notifications and be a little bit of a creeper. But it's, I don't know. It just seems like Facebook's got better with not allowing all of the, the presidential crap, kind of filter into all these conversations. And it'd be nice if that was a place where we could have healthy conversations about how we feel and not, kind of blackball each other because we feel a certain way about who we support and what we want to happen in the world. But yeah, it's an interesting time to just look at, because it's gonna be here forever, right? It's not going anywhere. It's gonna evolve. 10 years from now, we're gonna have a conversation here in the cave because we'll still be hammering it out. what social media is at that point. I mean, who knows? We
Yeah.
may evolve and our mouth goes away and we get an extra finger to text and we just communicate by telepathically.
Right. We so
We can type 200 words a minute because we got 12 fingers.
hey, you know what? It'll be a it'll be a lot less confusion if we were able to do that because I can't miscommunicate it because you're reading my mind directly how I'm thinking it.
Many of our episodes are timeless, right? I mean, we talked about our sons being able to, at some point, in as they grow older, to go back and look at our YouTube channel and say, "Wow, mom, look at Dad and Cedric talked about way back when." But this type of conversation about social media, I mean, that's going to evolve and change. 10 years from now, quite a
Right,
different conversation that we'd be having.
right, right. Hell yeah. So man, I'm curious because like we both on that same page. We kind of teeter totter a little bit with it. Um, so knowing the good that it does and the amount of bad that it does, would you say yay or nay to social media? Should it go away or not?
No, I'm good with social media. I think I have to, and this is something my wife has done, is just kind of tighten my circle. Not, not accept friends that I have no idea who the hell they are. I've done some of that. People that I know very, very little about. Do I really need to spend time looking at their posts? Probably not. Are there other productive things I could be doing than scrolling and looking at posts from people I have no idea who they are? Probably. I don't need to look to social media to create my inner happiness. Maybe I can spend my time volunteering and actually helping in person versus feeling like I can support you by liking your post. Not that that's not helpful for that person, but I think there's probably more meaningful things that I can shift into and not spend as much time or looking at the time I spend on social media and maximizing my impact that I feel like I can make in the world. But I think it's a, a tool. It's a experience that I think is worth being around. I think it's just the evolution of it, which I don't think we understand completely because you look to the generation that's after us, and what are the conversations happening there? What is the transitional period that they're going through? Being in school and then going to work and having much more less interactive life. We've kind of had that. We've had both experiences, right? We've had the in-person, pager, hey, call me. Then we've got to call them on the phone to, all the things that we've experienced in our lifetime. It's quite different than what kids are going through, school now, high school, college, and what challenges, what processes they're kind of creating and going through. And as a parent, right, your son's going to come. You're going to grow older with your son, and you're going to experience some of these things that I'm not experiencing because Mosiah is much younger than Anthony, and
Yeah.
the things you probably don't even realize that you'll be talking to him about because that's just the evolution of life.
Hopefully, we're talking about all the failures and mishaps that Edison had, and we're talking about Anne Frank and James Baldwin. That's the
And I
intent.
think I think the key is to be connected, engaging, authentic fathers, right? A message that we feel is important to hear, and we want you, the listener, to understand is, we can have these broad conversations about what life is and what we feel like we experience, but ultimately, many of the topics that we've had here are around connection with the self, kind of understanding the basics of life and living a life where you're feeling present and aware and have a high level of conscientiousness. Right? You like the way I said that? Because then, if you do have that, if you are living in the present moment, if you are being more conscious in your decision making and awareness, these things that evolve in our life don't become an issue. I think it's when we become disconnected, when we're not feeling like we're being authentic, when we're not being connected to ourselves, allowing ourselves to have that relationship with ourselves, then things like social media will unfortunately, I think, rule many people's lives, because that's what's giving them the value. They're not creating their own value within them. They're allowing, or they're needing outside appreciation, acknowledgement, acceptance that gives them what they're not getting either from themselves, from their parents, from their boyfriend, girlfriend, from their siblings. They're looking elsewhere for that, because that's just a basic human need. And I think that's where I think as fathers, as human beings, we have to kind of come back to that. Any of these things that are transitional learnings and moving, in a different way forward in our life, is to be able to come back to the present moment and really ask ourselves those questions. Who am I being? What do I really want to experience here? What is my purpose? Who am I?
Yeah.
Those are questions that we have to continually allow in our awareness. Otherwise, we kind of lose all of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, I was just thinking, because I always know we coming up to like I guess you can call it our caveman thought. We come up with a name for that, bro. That might be something to put up there. Uh,
Cave today, I like this. Is that what you said? Cave thought for the day?
Yeah, cave thought for the day or something like that.
Social media posts. Our cave thought for the day.
Right. I just
we can etch this in stone.
right. Hammer and chisel question. Right?
You're the old Flintstone episodes, and they'd be in the
Yeah, man, but it was crossing my mind for whatever reason. Because you were talking about we always have to come back. We always have to come back. And, and I weigh a whole lot on that practical, secular, everyday mindset around stuff. And it just hit me like, just like everything, or a lot of things in our lives, social media is a real life thing that is a tool. And when we apply those holistic questions, those inner questions, who am I being? How, all of those questions, why, and checking emotions. And then when we look at the physical piece, we can come and say, how is this tool in alignment with the answers from those questions when I look within? And like you said, it's not going away, it's only going to evolve. And if we want to evolve as the best version of ourselves, I think an important key would be to look at it as a tool.
I agree, and I think that's because there's a group of people, or a large congregation of people that are already starting to develop the next best way to interact without interacting, right?
Right.
And I think that's the nature of life. So how can we, like you said, just on a daily basis, really stay centered and come from a place of love, come from a place of being, and then like you also said, just asking those questions. And as well as what is the reason I'm putting this post on Facebook? Just as simple as asking that question.
Wow.
What is the importance of me posting this at this moment right now? And if you can answer that question and it makes sense and it feels good and it's not going to hurt you or anybody else, then so be it. Post away. But if it's more, okay, I really should be doing something else. What I'm putting out here isn't really how I feel. I'm really going to be worried about if I don't get a certain amount of likes. And if nobody shares it, nobody likes me. So I think there's a lot of answers that we can have before we move forward, not just with social media, but just in our life, even our relationships, right? Just asking those questions that we can apply to so many areas of our life. And I think when we get in the habit of doing that, and we slow down and we create that space, we're going to make much more nourishing decisions. And it's not to say that you can't make nourishing posts in social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, any of those. It's just, being mindful of, is it moving me forward? Is it moving the human race forward? Is it benefiting others? Or is it kind of a sidetrack or step back from what you really want to put out into the
Man, man, I'm glad you recommended that to me, man.
world? You know what? I'm just, I need you to like me. So
Oh
hit
man.
the heart button when you're done here. Keep smashing it. Keep smashing it.
All right, that like button, share. We need that to be.
And again, you, the listener, this is many of our conversations seem to give us some insights about ourselves, but that's been over a long period of time as we've grown as men. We're all at different stages of our life, so trust that wherever you're at right now, when you're listening to this episode, is perfect. If there's areas that you don't feel comfortable about, do the work and show up for yourself. Look at what you can do to really stay in alignment with who you want to be, what your purpose is, how you want to show up in the world, and have those, have and really make that conscious decision. And I'll get off my soapbox and we'll say our goodbyes. Is to write the story that you're destined to live.
Mm.
Story you're destined to live, and dream big. Make it a bestseller. Make it the best possible story, and you want everybody wants to read your story because it's just truly amazing.
Man, hey, so his last words, y'all
Woo!
that there was something, he just dropped some gems on them. Okay.
Drop the
Right. Man cave out.
ball.
Well, y'all, man, this was the man cave experience this week. Who knows what the experience will be like next week, but we know it will be us two men bringing an authentic experience to y'all about some topic that men or people in general don't talk about that much. And we bring it here and just give you authentic thoughts. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all joining us. Hey, if you want to really show love to the social media, hit the like, hit the share button, tag a friend or whatever. That way y'all can be notified. And in about 2 weeks, we're gonna be doing the launch and we coming out because we're gonna be available on the podcast version on all available platforms. It's coming. I'm super excited, child. I'm super excited. Ron, I love you, my dude. Always appreciate you.
Keep
Man.
safe, be strong, come from a place of love, and be yourself.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And how I go, Ron, I like your tag, man, with your company. Know to grow and grow to know and know to grow. How I go?
Yes, that's it.
That's it, y'all. And we'll see y'all back next week in the
Yes.
man cave.